Let's move on now, because, as I say, time's up against us, and there's a very good question that's been tabled, which tends to divide environmentalists even, so it'll be interesting to see what we make of this one. It's from Cherry Lewis.
Yeah, my question was based around the issue of the Severn Barrage, where obviously I think it could potentially raise something like 5% of our energy needs, I think, from what I heard about it, but could also have some very severe effects on the tidal, on the coastal environment. So the question was, how would candidates balance those issues of environment and the need for green energy?
I'll start with one.
I'll be actually in favour of that scheme, but it sounds to me some mitigation work would be needed to certainly prevent coastal erosion by putting in the necessary defences. But I think that would also be a useful source of energy for this country.
Okay, Robert.
Well, this is one which I've struggled with for years. The River Severn, as you know, is a fantastic natural environment. It's one of the most significant natural environments we have in the country. It's my belief that it can actually generate its own weather system. It's such a powerful thing, and the Severn Bore is a wonder to behold. And we're not just talking about the Severn Bore, we're talking about all the wildlife that inhabits the Severn estuary. So when the tide is out, it's very important for our wildlife that they have access to those mudflats, which we all know about. So we tamper with the River Severn at our peril. I don't think that a permanent barrage is the right answer, but I think that there is a middle way. I think there is a way of harnessing that tidal power without having that permanent barrage there, and we need to explore that as fully as we can before committing ourselves to that, that pretty nuclear option, sorry to mix my metaphors here, of a permanent barrage. One of the other issues about the Severn Barrage, a lot of the land is Crown estate. In other words, it belongs to the Crown. And there are issues there about how democratic and accountable the planning process will actually be. And we need to look very carefully at that side of things before we rush helter-skelter into that development, because I would be very, very concerned if a development of that nature was allowed to happen without the fullest democratic accountability. Because it's not just important to us in the South West or in South Wales, it's important to the whole country, because the River Severn is such a major environmental icon, if you like, for the whole of Britain. Thank you.
Okay, Anne.
I think, Cherry, this has been something, the Severn Barrage, as I could make a pun, floated several times. And there is a big question mark over whether it's feasible, whether we've got the technology for it. So I don't think we'll be making a decision on it for a number of years. And I'm in two minds about it, because I do want natural energy. I would like to see that happen, but I'm very, I've seen the Severn Bore, who is not a man standing at a bar. It's the most amazing wave, and seeing people surf on it when it's at its height is quite an extraordinary thing. And I think those natural phenomena, we don't have very many in this country, that sort of thing. And of course, there's the Wildfowl Trust. There as well, which is an amazing place again. So that, of course, would go. And what would we do? How do we balance our care for wildlife and biodiversity with our need for green energy? So, I would want to see whether it would be feasible and how much it would cost, because at the moment, again, I heard the reports yesterday, and the cost does seem to outweigh the amount of electricity and energy that will be generated. But I would want to weigh that up against the things that we would lose from the Severn, and it is an amazing estuary, and I think we have to be very careful about what we might lose. So I'm sorry, I don't usually sit on the fence, but I don't think I've got enough evidence at the moment, one way or the other, to make a judgment.
Okay, David.
Well, I'm not going to sit on the fence on this one. I live at the moment in a part of Somerset that will be possibly affected by it, so I'm very much a no camp for the Severn Barrage. I think they have their place. I think the technology that's being discussed is old Canadian technology, which has been proven to be unreliable. I think the effect, the impact it will have on the marine life in the outer Severn estuary will be devastating. and the impact further up the Severn, particularly say north of the bridges, would be unacceptable. I think you would lose part of the Wetlands Trust. They would just be underwater, and I think further up the Severn you would find severe flooding because of it. And on those bases, that evidence that I've been able to get, no, and just in case you're not sure, no.
Jenny.
As you say, it does actually divide environmentalists very strongly. I'm on this South-West regional list for the Green Party, and some of the language used I noticed to be quite common. Last time I checked, there were sort of still 13 scenarios that could or couldn't be used. None of them were perfect, but none of them were terrible. And I think that this has to come down to consultation, and cooperation between people. You know, it's too important. The amount of power there and the reliability of tidal energy as well is a too big of opportunity to dismiss. But as I say, we are, I think I agree with Anne, a fair way away from actually making a decision.
Thank goodness.
I would like to see one of those 13 possible plans be used at some point in the future, but it is going to take a while until we're all as happy as we possibly can.
Okay, just take some comments from the audience. Lady at the back.
Could I ask David Newton if his view is the view of the Liberal Party?
No, it's my own personal view. No, sorry, I should have made that absolutely clear, folks. I do apologise about that. The party has no specific view at the moment on that one. I should have made that quite clear. That is my own personal view. I do thank you for allowing me to clarify that, because I forgot.
Mr. Evans, very quickly.
Well, I do know a bit about the barrage because I'm born in Wales. I'm an electrical engineer, and we actually learned about the generators, low height generators, at school. France has a very successful dam which uses low height generators. That is what a barrage is. Some people here seem to think that it's going to block off the whole Severn. I think that idea was never really considered, even in the beginning. In Canada, they do have a barrage like that, yes, and it is exactly that. It goes right across, and they have had a few problems with it. But a barrage is basically a hydroelectric dam which is at low height, but it's in the sea, not in land. Norway had a very similar sort of thing up in Alta, where everybody from around the world, except the people from Alta, came to protest. They still went through with it, and it produces nearly 30% of Norway's electricity. You mentioned wind farms and the rest of it. The barrage will completely produce much more than all the wind farms that we are first of. You mentioned that we should have a referendum. Maybe we should have that on nuclear. You seem to have pushed that through without any of us having a chance to have any say. There has been no consultation about nuclear. The barrage would enable us not to have nuclear. It doesn't have to destroy things. I live in Cardiff. It would most probably be outside Cardiff. When the tide comes in, you pump water up to another reservoir inland. That then feeds the motors when the tide's gone out. We don't have to block the river. The river would still be there. None of those wetlands would be in danger. They'd still be there. They may be slightly reduced, but not in danger.
Thank you. There's a lady there.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a general observation about, it's about the barrage, but generally I think we need to recognise that if things unfold in the way that we anticipate they unfold, if we do nothing, then those wetlands aren't going to be there anyway. The whole of our environment is going to change over the next 20, 30 years. And we are going to have to make some very, very difficult choices. And one of them must obviously be to stop using as much energy as we put in. If we just reduce the amount of energy we needed, we wouldn't need to have these discussions. And that might be the thing that we need to concentrate on most.
Can I just clarify? I'm not saying no to wave power at all. I just don't want anything there.
Well,
I think
not in
wave
your
power's got
backyard,
lots
is what
of
we want. It's going to have to be in all our backyards.
Your point about reducing energy consumption is bang on, and industry knows this, and this is why if you go to those clever companies, they will have all sorts of systems in there to cut off lights when they don't need it, light sensitive. This is the way to go. You're absolutely right. If we all did that with person sensitive lights, we could save a huge amount of energy.
Where's the street lights on the day?
Okay, are there any other further comments on this one from the audience?